Hey guys, welcome back to the Skyward Sword video walkthrough, and in this particular video we're going to be playing the Thunder Dragon's Lightning Round sort of mini-game boss gauntlet of sorts. This becomes accessible after you have completed the Lanayru Gorge portion of the Song of the Hero and you've learned the Thunder Dragon's part of the song. There are two notable prizes that you can win from this minigame. However, let me first explain how this works. It's basically a boss gauntlet. We've seen this before in Zelda. In particular, I think it started in Spirit Tracks with the Take 'em All On challenge. If you play on the most difficult mode, you got to play through pretty much all of the bosses in a row consecutively. You didn't get to play through the final bosses again, but at least some of them. And this was further elaborated with Ocarina of Time 3D for the Nintendo 3DS, and they decided to bring that feature back here in Skyward Sword. This time, however, there's more notable prizes. This is how the prize system works. You fight a boss, and after you get to pick the first boss you fight, afterwards Lanayru, the Thunder Dragon, will pick all the subsequent bosses. You fight him after you defeat a boss for the first time in the lightning round. You'll get 50 rupees. That happens regardless the first time you fight a boss. However, after you beat the first boss in the gauntlet, you'll get 20 rupees. That's your reward. At that point, you can sort of just stop fighting in terms of the gauntlet mode, and you can take your prize and go away with it. Alternatively, you can risk it and continue on to earn higher prizes. So each time you defeat a boss, you'll earn a higher prize. However, you can risk it for an even better prize. It's not cumulative prizes, if that makes sense. So after defeating the first boss, you'll get 20 rupees. After defeating 2 bosses, you'll get a small treasure. Then 3 bosses, 100 rupees. And then after defeating 4 bosses, you get a notable reward, which is the final piece of heart in the game. So that's one of the 2 notable awards that we want to earn. And if you play through the boss gauntlet mode again, and you beat 4 bosses, you can earn 200 rupees in place of the piece of heart. So you definitely want to play and defeat 4 bosses. It shouldn't be too difficult. A few things worth noting: you can't use anything in your adventure pouch. Notably, you can't use bottles or, well, pretty much just bottles. You can't change shields, but you can use the shield you have already equipped, basically. So I'm not going to show all the bosses just because it's very repetitive, but I just want to explain how it worked, and I showed one boss, and I'll show some of the rewards. So I'm going to get the piece of heart after defeating 4 bosses, but if you wanted to continue on, you can defeat 5 bosses and get 300 rupees, 6 bosses you get a rare treasure, 7 bosses you get 500 rupees, and 8 bosses you get the almighty Hylian Shield, the most powerful shield in the game. And I'll get to that a little bit more in just a bit. Furthermore, if you were to beat 8 bosses again, you can get 1,000 rupees. If you beat 9 bosses, you can get 2,000 rupees. If you beat 10 bosses, you can get 3 rare treasures. And if you beat 11 bosses, you can get 3,000 rupees. And if you beat all 12 bosses, you get 9,900 rupees, basically filling up your wallet. A few things worth noting: we haven't actually faced all 12 bosses yet. Some of the bosses are basically the end game bosses, and we haven't challenged them yet. But you can come back and play this game after defeating those bosses, and they become accessible in this game, so you can play through the gauntlet of all 12 bosses. So I got the piece of heart the previous time. Again, I'm sort of just skipping the battles. Perhaps later on I'll do a more elaborate video of all 12 bosses, perhaps on like hero mode. But it's probably not worth your time to get the Hylian Shield. While it's the most durable of the shields, it does not break. If you're able to defeat 8 bosses in the boss gauntlet, you're already well on your way. You probably have the skills to easily defeat the endgame bosses as well. So it's depending on whether you want to spend your time fighting bosses you've already faced, or you want to spend that same amount of time pretty much practicing against the endgame bosses. It's really up to you. I personally think the upgraded Sacred Shield is almost as good, but it's worth getting if you really want to. If you're getting 100% completion, then, well, you have to get it. So the Hylian Shield's probably worth it. It's featured in some of the subsequent Zelda games, but you can pick it up if you'd like. Anyway, continuing on with the other side quests, there's a few lingering side quests that I need to get. I'm sort of skipping ahead here. I forgot to get this goddess treasure chest over at Beetle's Island, and you have to fall asleep on Beetle's air shop, and then you can climb the staircase here and jump across, and you can open the treasure chest here. I could have gotten this earlier. I just completely forgot about it earlier. You know, I make mistakes too. But it contains a rupee medal, which basically, as you'd probably guess, increases the chances you can get rupees, or increases the value. You know, it's pretty much just like the other medals, but this one has the effect of rupees. Anyway, I'm skipping ahead, and you might have saw that flash. I sort of just ran out of batteries with my Wiimote, so I had to change. Or my batteries were running low, and I didn't want that little icon to be sitting there. There's a couple more goddess treasure chests for us to collect, the last remaining ones, and well, I completely botched that. I didn't mean to do that, but you want to dig underneath the soft soil location here, and the landscape of this area will be different depending on which direction you basically burrowed underground from. A few things worth noting here: there's two different locations other than the entrance point where you can dig back upwards. So do so, and you'll be able to reach the two goddess treasure chests. This particular one contains the final empty bottle. Probably overkill at this point. I mean, who really needs 5 empty bottles? But I guess you could use it. I mean, you can't really use these. It would be useful in the boss gauntlet mode, especially in the hero's quest, but you can't use them then. So I think you could use all 5 bottles in the final battle area, but I don't know. Like I said, probably overkill. But this goddess treasure chest here contains the small quiver. I mentioned earlier that you could get a quiver in one of the goddess treasure chests, but it's just so late in the game. You could have just purchased one earlier. Anyway, that's pretty much going to do it for this video. This was just purely optional side quest. I will go and speak with Levias in the next video, as well as basically do everything up until the next dungeon. So I'll see you guys then.